David, might as well start with Donald Trump. We've been taking a little kick at this can for a while now, based yesterday, of course, on the verdict, today on this rather rambling press conference. What are you thinking? What are you expecting?
Well, to your question, I doubt that we'll see jail time, quite honestly. I mean, if you look at it just objectively, you're talking about nonviolent crimes. 34 counts, yes, but they're nonviolent offenses. And regardless of what we may think about Donald Trump, he is a first-time offender, officially. And so, for sentencing like that and considering everything else, I think we're looking at some sort of suspended sentence going along with a financial penalty, but I don't see jail time.
This is interesting because I think probably I thought the same way, and then I heard a couple of people, including a lawyer we had on earlier in the day, suggest for all these issues with gag orders and violations of those, maybe that alone could get him an exemplary sentence or something.
Yeah, it could. I mean, again, I'm not going to dispute a criminal lawyer from New York City, but at the same time, he is right. He just like for falsifying financial documents tied to a felony, which is the case here, you're talking about real possible jail time. And yes, violation of a gag order, and the Judge Marchand, did threaten jail time towards the end of the trial. And Donald Trump calmed down a bit. And so, yes, theoretically, there could be jail time, but I just don't see it considering all the context that surrounds this case.
Okay. We'll have to wait. July 11th is sentencing, and we shall see. Let's move from that to talk about the continuing war here between Genevieve Guilbeault and the various mayors on the greater island of Montreal with respect to public transit.
Sure. Can I just say one thing about Trump? Is just here in Canada, what I find very disturbing is that Justin Trudeau and the Liberal government is not responding to this. Now, in normal circumstances, the leader of a country will not comment on domestic affairs of another, especially Canada. It rarely will go on the offensive on something goes on with the U.S. But here we're talking about what's going on here is extraordinary. And also, Donald Trump, since the beginning of this trial and since the verdict yesterday afternoon, he is attacking unabashedly and shamelessly the rule of law. And Canada, just like the United States, is based on that fundamental principle of the rule of law. And a prime minister should be at the forefront of defending that and criticizing anyone that attacks that fundamental principle. We share those values with the Americans, with Europeans, and other countries around the world. And democracies are under attack, generally speaking, around the world. I mean, democracies are a minority phenomena in the world. And so to see that we're saying nothing about that general principle, the fact that this was a fair trial, this was conducted according to every fundamental principle of justice, and it's about the rule of law, and Canadians adhere to this. And to see that the Prime Minister of Canada won't even take 5 minutes today to just say that Canadians believe in the rule of law, and any Canadian, and let's remember, there was an occupation in Ottawa not so far back, 3 weeks, one time in January, a couple of years ago, where we had people, Canadians, that were saying no to the rule of law. And so we're not that far removed from the same thing here, from the same attacks on one of the most fundamental, most sacred things that makes Canada what it is today. So I think this would be worth 5 minutes of our Prime Minister's time.
I wonder, David, as you bring this up, is this done so as not to offend someone who might potentially become president?
Well, I mean, what's the downside? I mean, you're talking about Donald Trump has already said clearly what he thinks about Justin Trudeau, Tucker Carlson, and I could go down the list about how MAGA America feels about Justin Trudeau. So it's not like you're going to lose anything here about, and again, I'm not talking about trying to intervene into domestic affairs. I'm talking about an overarching principle and just saying to those Canadians that think Donald Trump is such a genius, such a great guy, and some of them support Pierre Poilievre, by the way, those Canadians, I'd be interested to see what Pierre Poilievre and those conservatives' reaction to these attacks on the rule of law, which is, again, a principle we share with the Americans and other countries, other democratic countries around the world.
Okay, well, so we've heard from nobody. Is that the idea? Not the conservatives nor the liberals?
No, that's it. Nothing. And Justin Trudeau will not comment. And so that's something that is noteworthy because we're talking about something that goes beyond just a simple domestic trial in another country.
All right, let's move on then. So what do you think of this battle, if you will, between Geneviève Guilbeault and all the municipal mayors here?
Yeah, I got to say something here is that, you know, yes, obviously, if I drive a car and, you know, my registration fees are going to explode, and nobody's going to be happy about that. But on this one, I got to say, when you see all these mayors saying, you know, this is the Legault government's fault, it's Geneviève Guilbeault's fault for not financing our transit agency's deficits, hold on a second here. The fact is, and Geneviève Guilbeault on this, and I rarely agree with her on anything, but on this, let's just take, for example, the City of Montreal, Aaron. This year's budget for the City of Montreal went from less than $6.9 billion to over $7 billion. So there was an increase in spending. There was a $350 million surplus last year. This administration chose to spend close to $500 million on Bixby and on bike paths and developing the cyclist paradise here in Montreal. And yet it has allowed an $86 million deficit for the STM. So if these transit authorities are in deficits, it is in part because these municipal administration, Catherine Fournier and Longueuil, Laval is the same, have chosen, along with Valérie Plante, to spend their money elsewhere. There's been an arbitration. There's been a choice to let these transit agencies run up these deficits and then play this political game of chicken with the Legault government on saying, okay, we won't pay, you should pay. And now the municipalities use a power that they have. This is not the provincial government raising the registration tax. These are the municipalities that have that power because you know what, Aaron? They asked for it. And they got that power from the provincial government. And instead of, for example, I'll give you another example. We have 5 different agencies managing mass transit in the greater Montreal area. This makes absolutely no sense in any management or administration point of view. We should be merging all of these and save a lot of money by merging all of these. But municipalities don't want to give up their little power that they have over their little chunk of that file. So there could be other ways as well to save money than raise the taxes. So what instead of working this out and actually sitting down with the provincial government, the mayors have decided that they rather have the issue going up into an election year, because let's be very mindful of this. All of this is about positioning the mayors because their election year is a year before the provinces.
Right.
So all the mayors are going to be up for re-election in November of 2025. That's basically just over a year from now. And so what they're positioning themselves is in a way to have an issue to blame the provincial government rather than to make the real choices and rethink the management and the choices they make when they spend money and really prioritize public transit. So this is a circus, and this is yet again an example where the Legault government, but on this one, the municipalities should shoulder most of the blame here. They rather have the issue, the wedge issue, the divisive issue, rather than to make the hard decisions and solve them for the benefit of people. And yet again, who loses? Not only the drivers are going to pay more, but also people who would benefit from having a modern, updated mass transit system.
David Heurtel. David, thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend, Aaron.